How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews. Back with a little bit of stouty, mixed stoutiness. That's a technical term for those studying for the Chicharrone. You gotta get used to trying to work through your stouty mixed stoutness. Anyway, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me. Little Homebrew Wednesday. From Outfield Beer Project, it is their Waffle Home. Yeah, this is an 11% Imperial Stout with Waffle House waffles, maple syrup, vanilla, coffee, lactose, and natural maple flavor. Florida does Florida. That's what they do. So Sam sent this off with two other beers. I did the other two as a side-by-side because there's a relation between the two, and that's the last one I'll be popping off. Again, like I said, Homebrew Jammers. Doesn't look like it from the label and the whole nine. And the beer itself, the last two were quite fun, so I'm excited to dive into this. Not the biggest pastry guy in the world, but when I'm in the mood, and the mood strikes, I can get down with it. It really, for me, and this is honestly personal preference, it really comes down to the level of the maple syrup in this beer. I feel a lot of breweries and brewers go a little bit too heavy-handed on the maple syrup, so we'll see what's what. Not much of a head there. We didn't expect much of a head. There's a whole bunch of adjuncts. I mean, anytime you throw waffles in the beer, what do you expect? So you didn't expect a big head on it, but there was a little bit of a head there. So it was carbonated, and it just looks rich, deep, and dark. Very much kind of cola in color. Give it a twirl. Nice legs on it. See if we can get a nose. Okay. Maple syrup forward. Not super aggressive. There's a little bit of roasted malt underneath. I might even be getting a little bit of kind of a nutty characteristic. That's probably coming from the malt also. Could be coming from the waffles. But yeah, I mean, it's maple syrup forward. That's kind of par for the course, even for lightly dosed maple syrup, because it's such a vibrant nose. Done and done. Just gonna dive in. Cheers. I like this. I like this. It does skew a little bit sweeter than that initial hit for me. But that sweetness, I believe, comes from the combination of the beer. It comes from a combination of the lactose. And that vanilla is bringing this kind of vibe of sweetness. It's not like all the maple syrup is like causing all the sweetness, which is why I like it. It has a nice mouthfeel to it. I wouldn't call this like ultra thick beer. I think some of these adjuncts have took the edge off of the density of the beer. So it's not thin by any stretch, but it's not super thick either. A little bit undercarbonated. There's a nice bittering that is uber crucial, because if it wasn't there, I think it would just go sweet on sweet on sweet. It's fun. You know, it's a fun... It reminds me of Waffle House. If you haven't been in a Waffle House, I don't know what's wrong with you. But, you know, if you've been to the Waffle House for breakfast, or if you've been in the Waffle House because it's 3 a.m. and they're the only place open, which is probably 90% of the time I've been there, you know, this is what it smells like when you walk into a Waffle House. You smell confectionery, you smell maple syrup, you smell coffee, you smell all the things. And the funny part is the coffee is probably the smallest part about this beer, but that's what Waffle House coffee is. It's like watered down, kind of poopily done coffee. Not saying this tastes like poopy coffee, but it's a minimal, subtle coffee characteristic that kind of makes sense because Waffle House coffee is watered down. With just that maple syrup being the driving kind of force behind a whole beer. It's fun. It's tasty. Each sip I take, it does get a little bit too sweet on sweet on sweet. So it's probably a little bit too sweet for me. But again, we're talking about a pastry stout with all these adjuncts thrown at it. I'm not getting angry at it for that sweetness. I'm just saying, personal for my preference, it's probably a little bit too sweet. If you know, throw some hops, extra roasted malts in there, maybe even like a rich dark roast coffee. Again, that would go against my watered down Waffle House theory. But bring some bittering to the game. I think this beer is an infinitely better beer for me. But for people that like pastry stout and like that kind of combination, there's bittering in there. I just want a little bit more. It's a fun beer. And it's representing everything on the bottle. That's kind of important. A lot of professional brewers and breweries get that wrong. Sans the waffles. I think put waffles on here is... I don't know. Can you, like... there's more than just waffles in here, but are waffles like fermentable grain at that point? Like, can you mash them? Can you take a bunch of waffles and grind them up and use that as fermentable grain? I don't know, but it's more of a kitschy thing, I would assume. Just kind of put on a label in a fun way. But the maple syrup, the vanilla, the coffee, and that lactose and maple flavor. That's maybe that's what they did with it. Maybe they put a little maple syrup in there, but didn't want to go too heavy-handed, so they put a little flavoring in there so it doesn't get ultra sweet. I don't know. Maybe Outfield Beer Project. Let us know. Not that you want to divulge all your secrets, but it's a fun beer. I like it. It's a fun pastry stout. One of the better pastry stouts that I've had as of late at Homebrew way. Yeah, of course, because I haven't had a ton of them. But even on a pro level, this is better than some of the ones that I've had that have gone a little bit too far in one direction, whether it be that maple syrup or lactose or vanilla. Like, vanilla is the big one. And, like, I think I called this out in the other... no, it was a different review. But, when you call out the things on a label and they all show up in a meaningful but not overpowering way, I kind of get really excited about that because so many brewers, pro brewers alike, can do that. And when it's a little bit deftly handled like this, I can be quite a bit more kind of enamored with the beer. So there you go. Little homebrew book review in the books. Go check out Outfield Beer Project, basically. See that right there? Type that in the old Googs, and then you'll find them on the Instagrams and all that kind of fun stuff. Or DuckDuckGo, or Alta Vista, or Ask Jeeves. I'm not going to tell you which web browser to use, but I'm sure if you type that in, you'll find them. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive, podcasting stuff. Hey, you want to send me homebrew? Matt@massivebeers.com or massivebeers@gmail.com. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little pastry jam right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.